Not all coaches are cheap. So we've been talking a lot about the blue zone, so I'm going to take you to the pink zone. Forgive me, but I had no slides as of 8:30 last night, because I don't usually use slides, and I need to get the clicker. And Mark said to me, no, you can't use your flip chart that you usually use, Darren. You need to do some slides. So we've produced these slides overnight, and the we is really important, actually, because everything that I do is a we. Everything that I'm involved in involves lots of other people who contribute to those organisations. And the secret sauce, I think, of most of the things that I'm involved with is that there's a real story that sits behind it, and that story is a very transparent story, and it's a very genuine story. We've heard a little bit today about poverty. I'm a kid who grew up in poverty, and I'm not one of those people that sells his story, so I only speak very infrequently. This is the second time I've spoken in a year. But I did, when I started the Mo Foundation, I did tell the story, and one of the opportunities I got was to come here and tell that story in front of a whole bunch of people similar to yourself at the first ever TEDx, and Mark invited me over. And at the end of that TEDx, I just turned around and said, look, if you would like me to bring the Mo coaching course to Guernsey, I would love to do that. And of course, a whole bunch of people said, we'd love you to do that. And now we've got this thriving, fabulous community of people here in Guernsey, and I hear that people are always talking about, have you been mowed? So I'm really intrigued about that, and it's fascinating for me as somebody who's, in all honesty, I'm blown away every time that I come to Guernsey or I go to any one of our communities, and I go and see the things that we're doing in the world. It just blows me away, and I feel extremely privileged to have done that. But the backstory, if you want to quickly hear the backstory, is that, I did grow up on a council estate. So when we talk about poverty, I actually know what it means to live in poverty. I know what it means to know that you haven't got enough money coming in this week. I know what it means that on a Saturday you eat everything that comes into the house, because by Monday there's not going to be enough food in the house. I know what it feels like when your mother dies to hear the council tell you that you're not going to have your council house because you've got no one who's got the right to buy, and you have to threaten them to take them to court. And I've seen how the system hurts people like me, people like my family who were supposed to be victims, who were supposed to be part of the poverty, the poverty mindset and the poverty community, and that we were people that, we don't deserve it, we're not people that want to work hard. So that was part of the growing up that I had at that time. But the wonderful thing about my life was that I had a lot of love. And so what we've tried to do is we've tried to hack poverty. And what I can tell you honestly is when I set out on the Mo Foundation journey, I actually thought I was trying to defeat poverty mindset in kids like me. I thought I was trying to help kids just like me, kids that had grown up in fairly difficult circumstances, and there are millions, if not billions actually, of them around the world. And actually what you start to realise is that poverty mindset is insipid. It's everywhere, and actually we want to support people overcome that poverty mindset. So I just want to say one quick thing. I do love coming here. I love what this community is building. Whenever I'm flying into Guernsey, I get extremely excited because I never know where the conversations are going to go, and I never know what we're going to be asked to do next. And I just think it's so fabulous to see a community like this growing these great opportunities. I mean, we're working with the job centres, and we're helping young people get jobs. We're working with the prison service. We're working with the social security. We wouldn't get that opportunity to do that if we weren't here at Guernsey. So I just want to say a huge thanks and a congratulations to all of you. It's interesting when you start thinking about what sits at the very essence. And I've hacked this from Mark. I think he hacked it from somewhere else, and it went out on a blog, and he told me it's gone viral all over the world. So I didn't know this word. I didn't know anything about ikigai. I personally just found a sense of purpose, and I'll explain that in a second. Where that came through for me. But I think that this is quite an interesting model. Because I think quite a lot of what we do as coaches is we listen to people. I was on a call with someone just last night, and I sent him a bunch of notes after listening to him for about 20 minutes, and he was just in flow state, and I just wrote everything that he'd said to me, and he just said, "You've just captured amazing notes." And I just dropped him an email back and said, "All I've done is listen to you." I think in life, often we don't feel that we're listened to, and part of what our coaching program does is that it kind of helps you to listen to yourself. It helps you to clear up that internal voice. And if any of you are asking what that internal voice is, it is that one that's just going on. The really interesting thing, so when I came here and sat here last night and looked and saw that this was all about health coaching, I found it really, really fascinating. Firstly, because I've been working with a personal trainer for the last 18 months, and he keeps saying to me, you've got to sort your diet out. And then I come here, and I see a whole bunch of health coaches, and I'm like, oh, for God's sake. And then the other thing that's been really fascinating for me, and I need to get some coaching on this, is when I knew I was coming to this, and I saw it was about reaching this wonderful, become a centurion, in 6 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever. I love that. But I was so fascinated with that, because the number that's in my head is 80. And I need to kind of sort out my thinking, because it's like, I need to get beyond this. Because, for me, I want to thrive and I want to enjoy life. The thought of getting to 100 and not thriving just doesn't float for me. So I've got to sort that out. But I thought that was quite funny, and I wondered if anyone else had that sort of visceral feeling. I just wanted to say a couple of things about these two people, because these are two people who didn't make it to 100, and they had massive impact on my life. So the first person is my mother. So unfortunately, July the 10th, 2000, I got a phone call that changed my life forever. And it basically said, Darren, you've got to come home. And I'm like, I don't want to come home. Long story short, I turned up, and my mum, at 52 years of age, she'd choked to death. And she'd had an epileptic fit, and she'd choked to death. And I was the eldest of 4 children. And that is where Mo Foundation was born, because at her funeral, my brothers and sister and I said, one day we're going to set up a charity that helps kids like us. And we made a promise. We made an absolute commitment that we were going to do something in our mother's memory. And we've lived through that, and we're actually delivering on that. So when you ask me, what does purpose really mean? For me, purpose means that I remember that promise I've made to my mother. So when it gets hard, because it always ges hard, I've always got something that's going to get me to get back up. So, if any of you have had a difficult start in life or something that's challenged you, try and use that as a way to have a positive impact in the world. And then the other person is somebody who's just unfortunately died of dementia at 76 years of age. His name is Sir John Whitmore. He is the founder of coaching, and he was like a father to me for the last 12 years. And he recently passed away just 7 weeks ago. And so I've been through that process with him, watching what happens and how you get treated through that. It's not always great. Purpose for me, this is the Association for Coaching. Purpose is not something you hide, it's something that you make explicit. This is our brand new website that no one else has seen yet. We're just literally cutting over today. Last time I was talking here, I was able to announce that Mo had just become a charity, and then the new AC platform is getting launched. It will be on the 5th, but that's what's coming. So purpose is something you should be sharing with people, because that story will compel people. So, one of the things I want to engage within you is don't hide your voice. Share your voice with people, because it will compel people. Mo Foundation, as I've said, it's all about us trying to defeat the poverty mindset. It's about how we inspire, the current and the future generations, and how we give them practical skills and practical tools that can help them to change their lives, change their families' lives, and then hopefully start to impact on community. But it starts with them as the individual. So look, this is who I am now. So I'm at 16 years of age, I left school with no qualifications. So I had no academic qualifications. I had a D, was the best grade I had, and then E, Fs and Gs. Long story short, I'm not a doctor, although I've got DR in my name, so I'm feeling quite good. But I have got a first class honours, I've got a master's and all that good stuff. And that's not important, but what it did was it taught me that I could learn. And now, I'm very privileged to be in a leadership role in 4 really, really fantastic organisations. The Association for Coaching, we're in 55, 60 countries. We've got 18,000 coaches across the world, all out there trying to make a difference. And it's been so inspiring for me to sit here and listen, because I'm just going, health. Health is a really big thing. We're not really doing much in that. How can we help doctors? How can we support? Because for me, everything that I do is about being the invisible hand. It's about how do I enable you to live the life you want to live? How do I support you? How do our organisations support you? Darren Robson is how I've earned a living, because I've never been paid. In 15 years, I've never been paid in the Association for Coaching, and I pay everyone else. Myself, Catherine and Alex, the 3 founders, the people who run the organisation, we've never been paid, which is incredible, ridiculous. The Darren Robson was where I got paid. I did get paid in the corporate world. And then the thing that I truly love is this Mo Foundation, which was a promise to my mother, and which is about helping people just like yourselves. And then earlier last year, we launched something called the Movement Conference. So what we're doing now with Mo Foundation is we're building a platform for other people to share their voice. We've got young people from Guernsey that have come and shared their story, one of which has ended up on Sky TV being interviewed. So we're trying to hack people's lives, give them these amazing experiences. And then about 2 years ago, I had a really serious car accident, and I woke up and I was different. You know, I was out cold for 7 or 8 minutes. It was in Budapest. And so I don't know why, but something was slightly different. But one of the things, as I started to reflect and I couldn't work for a period, was I want to get into technology and I want to get into data science. And, you know, I'm very proud that as of next Wednesday, I'm going to become the managing director of a company called Profusion. And the reason I'm doing that is because it's data science. Because I can see that if we can start to gather in all this data, if we can use technology and we can use clever algorithms, we can actually start to not just analyze what's going wrong in the world, we can start to predict it. And I get extremely excited about how we can kind of create those solutions. So the combination of data, technology, and coaching, I think, is an extremely powerful force. And, you know, William and other people here have got so much data and they don't know what to do with it. I want to find a way to support people to do that. And for me, that's about purposeful entrepreneurship. That's not about making money. It's about trying to make a difference in the world. The real, you know, the thing that I'm most proud of is this. So I have got all these fancy titles and everything else, and a few years ago that was really impressive. But now if you look at my emails, there's no titles, and there's a tiny D, because that is who I am, genuinely. You know, life has taught me that you've got to be humble. You know, the best leaders I've ever met in my life, they're just so humble. And for me, my favourite thing is my children, and it's the thing that inspires me. It's the thing that makes me look at it and go, one day my children's children, yes, I will be alive for that, you know, might sit and ask me, you know, what did you do at this time? And I want to be able to say to them, I've tried to do something that's positive to support your life, because I'm worried about what we're pushing on to the next generations. But I'm an extreme optimist. We've heard this trend all the way through. You know, there is a real link between purpose, coaching, and community. And what we've been able to do in Mo Foundation is hack that and use that sense of purpose, build a sense of coaching and a coaching community. And that community are just creating so many different projects and so many different initiatives all over the world. Now within Mo Foundation, we've got nearly 500 coaches, and they're all over the world. And they're doing amazing things. They're not just doing one thing. And for us, it wasn't about creating a coaching community. What we wanted to do was give people transferable life skills, and it's just so powerful. I think there's a huge opportunity. Just simple stats, you know, we've got a lot of doctors in the house and you love your stats and facts. I'm not a big stats and facts guy, I'll leave the data scientists to do that. But this just blows me away. You know, I estimate there's about 250,000 coaches. I know by looking at the other bodies there's about 120, but actually I think there's other people. There's a massive gap here, there's a huge opportunity. For me, something that inspires me is that thought that every child gets the opportunity to learn about themselves, to build their own self-awareness, their self-esteem, and to kind of learn that sort of coaching philosophy, because I think it will just build confidence in this world, and I think we'll have a better, more conscious world because of it. That's what sort of inspires me and gets me up and out of bed. We've got a ridiculous model within Mo Foundation. It's ridiculous. You know, we gift, you gain, we all give and grow together. So, you know, we've got a £2,500 coaching course and we gift it away. It's a ridiculous model, okay? I was able to do it, but the great thing about it is it's self-perpetuating now, and it runs, and for the last 5 years it's broken even, which is just ridiculous. If you imagine there's two doors, one door says I can afford to contribute, one door says I can't afford to contribute, and you walk through either one of those and you get the same service. It's amazing the positive impact of that. But I think that, you know, as it says here, it's about, you know, helping people to empower themselves. We don't tell them how to live their lives, we give them the skill sets. John Whitmore taught me all about this. We've got to look at whole systems thinking. So the thing that has been fascinating for me to think about today, because I've never really thought about it, even though my PT's always given me a hard time, is about food and how I use food and how we use food for mental and physical well-being. So there's an opportunity for me to learn, having come here and listened to this, is that there's a whole gap that I'm not thinking about. You know, I focus quite a lot of my time on mindset and just hacking people's lives, getting them to do things they wouldn't ordinarily do. And what happens when you do that, you get them to shift their whole focus. You get them to shift their whole sense of what they can achieve in the world. And that's what we do with everyone that we work with. At the core of the organisation is this, you know, is without doubt, you know, hope, optimism, confidence and beauty. And we recently did a piece of work where we asked people, what do you think of Mo Foundation? And a whole bunch of people said to us, at the centre of it, it feels like a mother's love. I can't tell you, you can hear it in my voice, how proud I am when I hear that. You know, that's purpose for me. Just some quick stats and facts. You know, we have gifted over 1.3 million already. We've got over 500 coaches. The next bounce for us is how do we support 1 million people? And then, you know, in my lifetime, how do we positively support 1 billion people? Now, we can't do it in the way that we're doing it. So we're now looking at, we've got a way to teach people coaching skills in Africa and India and all these other places where they keep asking us, can you help us? And we're just going to find a way to support them. Community, this is what we live for. Anyone who comes on the coaching course, you'll know this moment when you get your wonderful blue certificate, and everyone loves getting their certificate. What's really fascinating is quite a lot of the people that come through our coaching course, they've never ever achieved, they've never got a certificate in their life. They've often never got through qualification school or anything else, and so you get tears, you get the emotion, but then what you get is you get the positive bounce of them changing their lives and moving it forwards, which is just incredible. And here's a bunch, you might recognise some of those faces, so I thought I'd leave that one to last. And this is the Movement Conference. This is where we're starting to now give people a platform to share their voice. I think this is what we do, so I'm just going to very quickly. You know, this is where we are today. A lot of people have dreams, they want to live a purposeful life, but what we do is we walk towards the river of fear, and we walk to that river and we go, I can't do it, and you back away. Well, you walk towards it, you go, I can't do it, you back away. And what Mo does, and it's you doing it, but what we do is we give people the tools to actually help them build their own bridge from where we are today to where they truly want to get to. And it starts with one small step at a time. You know, it's not about eating the whole elephant in one go. The key of coaching, I've heard it quite a lot today, is the first step is awareness. What we do is we raise people's sense of their personal awareness. We get them to start listening to themselves, thinking about what can I do in the world? What could I truly achieve if I really believed in myself? And then we start getting them to think about how do I take personal responsibility? How do I actually take that first step? And then we go and say, what's your choice? How can we support you? And we provide support and help to people to do that. And the great thing is we don't even consciously do that anymore. The community does it itself. So it's completely self-orchestrating now, especially in a community like this, which is incredible. Blows me away. It's so amazing. Some of the basics of coaching, just to kind of give you some top tips. You know, the grower model I love. So John Whitmore talked about the grow model all those years ago. It's about getting people to just focus on what can I do and what's my reality and what are my options and then what will I actually do. And when I do it, how energized will I feel? And then how do I get rewarded for doing that? Because if we reward people for doing the positive things in life, guess what? We move towards it. So we've got to find a way to get this out into education and schools. We've got to get it into prisons so that we stop this, you know, the rotating doors, I think they call it, where you go out of prison, you come back in prison, you go out of prison, you come back in prison. And coaching, we're starting to see coaching stopping people doing that. The great thing about Guernsey prison, I think, is about 50% capacity, which is a brilliant story, you know, very positive. And what we need to do is take that into other communities. Last few slides for me. Something that I've observed, listening to lots of people, I've been coaching chief executives and entrepreneurs for the last 7 years. I'm not doing so much of that anymore. But one of the things that I've noticed is the best leaders, the best people that I get to meet have a level of humility. It's not about them. There's something that's running behind the scenes that is much deeper, and their ego is in check. They have a strong focus on ethics, and they have a strong focus on values. There's a deeper sense of, you know, this is the way I'm going to be, irrespective of what people see or hear. They have a focus on excellence. Everything they do, they aspire to make it the best they can possibly do. And they keep trying to raise the bar to improve it. And then ultimately, it's about them creating a voice for themselves. And, you know, if I can offer Mo Foundation to support any of you as doctors, as practitioners of anything, we would love to offer the Mo Foundation coaching course to support you. There's so much more that we have to do in the world. Thank you very much.